What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of No Client Agent Privilege, aka No Cap Podcast. Your boy Evan, your boy Will. We have a very special guest today, our guy Max out of Babcock Hoops. We are going to dive deep into the scouting world today, get a little bit of insight on one, how the college world has kind of turned into a, truly free agent market, along with being able to find those transfer portal NIL, where our team and valuation really sit, especially with a guy like AJ out of BYU, has kind of set the precedent for who's the next 5-star, who's the next guy, and what's the next level of, is the scouting, department really willing to spend this much? How much is GM going to work? So, Max, give us a little bit of insight on you and your background and kind of how you progressed to this part of your career as a scout and everything on your behalf.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. Started back in the day, actually, at UCF. So, some night love here, of course. Worked through the men's basketball program for a few years when I was in school. After that, ended up coaching semi-pro hoops, actually in Fort Lauderdale. Kind of ran the basketball operations side when we weren't in game, so a little bit of everything there behind the scenes. From scouting, from getting our roster together for those 3 seasons of the league. That was in the TBL. And then from there, been on the scouting trail with a few different outlets, more recently with Matt Babcock and Babcock Hoops here this past season.
Right.
Covering the state of Florida. And really a little bit of everything from high school, college, and of course our draft prep and getting everything ready. Now that, summer league's over,
right?
Just turning the page and seeing what's coming up next.
Yeah. And now, so for you, are you on the college recruiting trail? Are you on getting ready for the pro side more so than anything? Or what is it for you that you're, I guess you could say, next step for you in the season coming up?
Yeah, so right now, getting ready actually in a few days to head up to Orlando for the Puma Circuit, their finals for the next 4 days. That'll be Thursday to Sunday.
Okay.
See some of the next rising stars there before they get to, sign on the dotted line for where they're heading to school. After that, it's just back in on college, getting around the state to get the practices, seeing where teams are at, making their last final adjustments on rosters, and, just seeing how teams are coming together practice-wise.
Right, and even for the college rankings, like, is there anybody that you're most intrigued to see on this, scouting trail? Like, is there anybody that's, kind of popped into your, your eyesight in the next, let's say we're already in the halfway end of July, so, summer or fall practices begin 2 months from now, like 8 weeks. We're football season will be here and done, but we're already basketball season, like, right around the corner too. So it's kind of one of those. Is there a team that you've been eyeing in the sense of over the summer, their moves that they've made that you're like, damn, I can't wait to go to that practice and see what they're actually working with?
Yeah, Miami coming together real quick. I want to see how they're going to play it all out. Obviously with the new staff, new players from top on bottom. Getting Dante Allen in, bringing what's the name from Texas, the Duke commit that flipped. Shelton Henderson.
Yes.
Coming over, I think they're going to put together a good roster. I think they have enough depth. They have enough seniority as well coming in from the portal that they could be a top half of the ACC type team and bounce back pretty quick.
I kind of agree with that as well because of how quickly they put it together too. It's not like they waited on certain. They really did. New head coach came in. All right, let's make our big moves. Let's get our new guys in, and it's kind of like they didn't really wait on anybody.
Talented though.
Yeah, and I think what's the head coach's name?
Coach Lucas. Jay Lucas.
So
he's the assistant from Duke, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So a guy like that who knows talent, been around talent, knows how to evaluate it at a high level. I think that's huge, especially nowadays in the recruiting trail of, hey, look, I want these 3 kids. Let's go get them. If we miss on one of them, let's put it in and go grab this kid. Or
I think it helps the scouting department as a whole too. And when you have
a head coach,
have a talent evaluator like that coming from
definitely,
a powerhouse like Duke, it makes everyone else better. I mean, if those people are really trying to learn and get
Oh, of
nitty
course,
gritty
yeah,
and really perfect their craft, like
no
it
doubt.
makes them better too because they get to learn from somebody that's tremendous at what they do. Obviously,
Agreed.
coming over from Duke. So, Miami, you said. Is there any maybe second or third teams that are gonna maybe be a surprise this season?
I don't know about surprise. I mean, I feel like Houston's always steady.
Right? Yeah.
They always reload. They always get the same type of player,
Yeah.
and year in and year out, no one figures them out. You know, they're going to be gritty. They're going to be defensive. They're going to win games. They're going to grind it out, and they're going to be there.
A lot of Marcus Sasser clones.
They're going to be there, close to cutting the nets down one way or another.
I mean, seriously. I mean, again, and I think we've talked about that. With regard just in general, like when you put a culture together, like Houston, where you know what you're getting, and you kind of know the team that you're going to go up against. Yet somehow, some way, you still can't beat it, or you still can't get up past it. So kind of one of those things where you like, are you going to be shocked if you see Houston in the Final Four?
No.
It's like one of those things where you're like, oh man, all right, well. They're back again. So, again, I kind of agree with you on that. Like, would you be surprised? No, but can you expect exactly what you're expecting out of them? Yes. Like,
that's why identity is so important,
Hell
especially in college. Like, you look at Houston, and then, sorry to say it, but you look at UCF, as I wear the hat, it's like they, especially nowadays with NIL, you throw teams together for like a season, maybe two if you're lucky, and you suffer because you don't have like an identity that you form, and you don't even know the direction you're going in. The GM is on the hot seat right now that they just hired, right? And coaching is a little fair weather in terms of if people want them, people don't want them. It's a mixed bag there.
Yeah.
I think, you look around and obviously talking about storied college teams right now, like Duke. I mean, Houston, maybe not as storied, but they
always
still
had
right,
they always had players. So.
Right. So, but identity is so important, and coaching too, like I said. But
yeah, and I mean, again, even for let's just say a UCF, it's still a young, non-historical team, I guess you could say. But like with regard to possibilities, the possibilities are there. Now it's just putting it all together and being with again and Duke and UNC and some of those historical teams are lucky enough to where their identity is also embedded in the culture and school itself. Whereas UCF is still building a culture, building their school. Every year we go up, there's a new building, a new facility, a new this, a new that.
Under construction forever.
Exactly, and that's what we stand for. And again, kind of one of the things where once you've figured it out, what you want to build off and what you want to put your identity on, the team will do it. They'll be great. And again, like you said, if you're lucky enough to have an NIL team or a team built through NIL for 1-2 years, you better come ready to make it happen. So again, that's an interior decision to make your exterior kind of hold together. Because if you start making bad decisions inside,
right,
the exterior
like top down.
It all falls down. So again, and I think in the NIL realm in general, that's where we're at right now in the sense of transfer portal, bringing this kid in from that school. He didn't do well at that school, but he was great in high school. Where does your scouting department really feel like this player is going to help our program? And I think that's kind of where we've had those conversations of, is AJ the next, the market value is now set for the next 5-star, the next Cooper Flag, however it is you want to put it. Is this really what we're like leaning on? If BYU goes in and only makes it and bumps out first round, is that worth it?
Is that successful?
Is that successful? Yeah. Is that
the value is going to go down?
Well, that's what
it's not going to be $7 million.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's for that and even from a scouting perspective, you got to watch him this last year with what is it, Utah Prep, right?
Yep.
So for Utah Prep series, when you look at BYU and what they're about to get, do you look at this last season and say AJ is, I'm not saying not worth $7 million, but the way it's structured for him, is it still worth it to the school to bring in that $7 million valuation for not even for him, but I guess for the future generations of what we're about to go through,
yeah,
and C.A.P, of course, which is a whole nother topic conversation. But for you, when you look at that, is that for a scouting mindset? Is that $7 million worth it? Or I should say, worth it? Is that expendable? Is that worth the time frame that he's seen?
I think you hit it with the future of what BYU is looking for, right? So right now, obviously, you're going to have a guy that's probably going to be a top 5 pick next year. You know, what is that doing long term for the program, for the recognition, for the donors, for the people that are footing the bill right now?
Right.
What's their return on investment? How is that going to play long term? Because, yes, AJ is most likely going to be a one and done.
Yep.
But the rest of the team, they're going to be there.
Right.
Unless, portal happens, but we know how that works.
Right.
So, I mean, really, you're wanting to try and build that consistency as best as you can in this current climate of, is the salary cap coming in? What's going to be the next? What's going to be tomorrow? What's going to be next week? What is 2 months from now going to look like? So, when you can get a player like that and get him in house, on campus, in the gym, day in and day out, that's going to help building that brand some consistency.
Agreed.
So, I mean,
what do you think about the transfer portal? Because we tapped into it last episode, but do you think that it should be one transfer you get for whatever reason you want? And then he also added, like, if a coach leaves, or if there's front office issues, that maybe you could get another transfer. But, like, where do you stand on the transfer portal and the way that it's gone, the past few years?
I mean, definitely from a coaching perspective, if the coaching change is made, yes, it's understandable. That kind of goes without saying. I think that
high school too.
Yeah, I think something like that you're not going to see any changes to from a rule perspective from the NCAA. I think it should be a one-time transfer, and then if you're looking to transfer again, there has to be some type of, whether it's sitting out a semester, whether it there has to be something put into place, I feel like, because the way it all just shook out over the past few years is here's the portal, here's NIL, everything all at once with no bumpers.
Open season.
Yeah, right. And it kind of now, here's where we're at. So now, the courts are getting involved because there was no rules and regulations set up initially.
Of course.
I don't think that it helps mentality-wise. I think you probably touched on this before, but when kids are just allowed to kind of, they think of it as like creating their own path and forging their destiny, but it's not a good mindset to have. Like, you got to go through some hard times, right? I mean, jumping ship is not
built
right. That's what I'm saying.
You're saying that like your team sucks,
so I'm going to leave.
Why don't you make it better? Why don't you become a team leader and make the team better? Yep. So it's like there's certain, and I can understand if you are really bad, like you should get your one transfer. If you say everybody left and this program is just going downhill and you this is not what you signed up for, fine, so be it. And I think some people, even on like the TikTok and stuff, had like, transferring up. It's like, well, once you transfer up, okay, so there have been plenty of kids that have transferred up
and didn't pan out.
Got playing time, and then they transfer again and they transfer down.
So every year, I think the numbers balloon from the previous season, right?
Transfer portal just expands.
Transfer portal. What I think when it opened this year for basketball, it was like up to 17 or 1800.
I think it was almost 1800.
Yeah, like from all levels.
It's ridiculous.
And only 40% of those student athletes now have new homes or went back to their school.
I was gonna say, or went back to their school. So it's like even at that point. So it's, let's just say, even if it's an even 50-50, like even if you say if 50% of the kids that enter 50%. Find a new team. Even at that rate, like we're talking such a dramatic change in landscape of college basketball or college football, just college sports in general. And we're trying to say like, yes, okay, like you have this opportunity to go to a different school or play or whatever it may be. But again, I think at the end of the day, if you have that one time, I think it puts into perspective that you can't just like, oh, this didn't work out, I'm leaving type mindset, which is why I think if you picked the right school, you did the recruiting trip, you did your due diligence, you hired the right people around you, because now every high schooler's got an agent, and you hired the right people and financial advisors around you saying, hey, look, this is what we've got, this is what they're offering, we want this, that, and the other. We love this, defensive back coach. We want him, to stay. If he leaves, we're gone. Whatever the minor stuff is. But again, the big picture of just showing up, not getting what I want, I'm out. That I think is where everyone is kind of full on the same page of, hey, look, this is not okay.
Well, look, let me ask you guys real quick. We all grew up following college teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Culture.
Yeah. Always.
Right? The culture, the players that were there for more than one season, building that bridge to the fan base.
Wasn't a thing.
And you saw
lucky.
transfers, but it wasn't as abundant as it is now.
Yeah, you were lucky if you were eligible after your transfer because you had a hardship or something like that. That had always kind of been a thing. Coaches, think.
Right. You sit a year out.
You sit a year out, whatever semester, you can play in the spring, whatever. But again, like you just said, the cultural aspects, even growing up as a fan, you had Ed Reed for 4 years. You had Ray Lewis for 3 years. I mean, guys like Hall of Famers that you put a stamp on your school because you stayed there for all your years. Blake Bortles, I mean,
Darius Johnson.
But that's the whole point.
That's the last of a breed of basketball players that we will never see again.
Again, we brought our clients on, Marlon and Jerome, both part of the NIL transfer portal era, stayed loyal, stayed committed to the school, to their team. Marlon for 5, Jerome for 5. Guys who stayed their entire careers at the schools that they committed to and put the work in that they needed to do. And again, kind of one of those things where you won't really hear about those guys again. I mean,
but it also built kind of long-term hype when because I go back, like you said, like when I was watching college football when I was younger, it kind of rotated. Like you knew which teams were going to be good year in, year out.
Yep.
Sure. But it also allowed teams like a UCF, for example, to be on the rise because they had these groups of kids that weren't leaving.
Yeah.
And they were able to build up.
Yeah.
You can't get that anymore, which is why
you had a Dante to that group. You had a McKenzie to that group.
Yep.
Now it's like, because you look at NCAA football, 26, 25, whatever you play, and like the road to glory, or with your team that you pick, you can't even really do that anymore.
Nope.
Like you look at FAU, and a lot of people see it as just like a bridge between like. Not JUCO, like a bridge between like a mid-major to go to just show out on the field or on the court and then transfer. They're never going to have, if it stays the same, they're probably never going to have the same success that they did a couple of years ago.
We'll wait until,
any school like that.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, any of those mid-major schools like that are, going to be fighting for, let's just say those, guys that are using it as a stepping stone to Power 5, at some point, that school is going to have to either, one, stick with the transfer portal and building every year, free agency style, and that's, again...
That sounds rough.
That's what or you go and you get those kids that they're not looking for anything but a place to showcase their talent, looking for the opportunities, diamonds in the rough, dog, whatever it is, however, the underdog story, whatever it is you want, those are really going to be your two options as a mid-major school, FBS school, because at the end of the day, those kids, if you trust them enough, are going to build their legacy with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are those kids out there. But again, can you truly fault a kid, meaning anyone under the age of 23, I guess you would say, when a Power 5 school, after having a breakout season, comes in and says, hey, $250,000, come play for us?
Yeah.
Short-term gains.
Well, are you trying to make it to the league, or are you just trying to make money now?
I mean, it's crazy. I hope that these student athletes are definitely becoming more aware as well of their careers and their longevity. Are you going to be a professional athlete? Are you going to get to that level? If not, hey, maybe you take some generational wealth somehow and get the right financial people around you,
right?
And take advantage of NIL for sure.
Yeah,
that part I don't disagree with.
Yeah, but I think that's the sticky road that we're on.
Because they want to do both.
Right.
They want to have best chance of going pro and make their money at the same time.
Right.
But you can't always have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly, and that's where you have to be surrounded by a team that is, and this is what I consider myself as a optimistic person, but I'm also a realist in the situations and the hands that we're dealt. So if something is to,
like with Denver, for example.
Yeah, Denver's a great example. Like, you take the opportunity, you're optimistic, but the realist part sets in, and you have to take or understand the real options that are actually in front of you. Now, I obviously I want him to be the 14, 15 man on the NBA roster, but again, that opportunity is, realistically speaking, not there right now. So until that happens, what are your options? Go play overseas. You do your 2 years, or sit in the G League 2 years, and you hope to get that call up on the 15-day contract or 10-day, whatever you might have available to you by being in the G. You don't get 10 days overseas. That doesn't happen.
You can always do 2 years in the G League and then overseas is always going to be there. That's the thing. It's harder to go.
He will be an elite. He will be considered an elite point guard to them until the day he retires.
Right.
So if he wants to go that route, that's on. That's up to him. Yeah. And again, I think people, even from the agent perspective, when we talk to our clients, we're just advisors. We're not.
Yep.
We're
contract advisors.
Yeah. We're not. We're there to advise our clients on situations that are presented to them. Now, of course, people are going to be the way that they are no matter what. That's just humans in general. So, what he decides, I'm going to back him 100%. And that's for any client. If they choose to go to one team versus another, I'm going to present them as even based. This is what we have. What are your thoughts? And then I advise on what I think is best for them.
Right.
And they honestly do what they're going to do.
Right.
Whether or not they listen to me, now that's a whole nother trust issue, factor that agents have to fight, their clients every day. That's why you got to build those relationships. But again, even from a scouting perspective, if you know that this guy is not up to par, and you write your report unbiased as to what their skill set is, it is what it is. You can't baby them just because
No.
they had one good game. It's like, okay, you had one good game, but the other 9 games that I watched you were not up to this standard. So I rate it off of my general season. So again, kind of one of those things where in the departments of, here we go, who's next, what's best for the NCAA pro. I think it's going to come down to a lot of, unfortunately, lawmaking decisions. And I really, again, we've even talked about the ability to high school athletes and stuff like that make, money and NIL and stuff. It's just the world we live in now. So, where we go with it is up to the next group of athletes. Who's really, if AJ takes the BYU, if he takes them to the Final Four this year, hey,
happy to be proven wrong. Right? Happy to be proven wrong, man.
Yeah, Cougs are going to be soaking. So there's going to be a party up in BYU, that's for sure. So, again, but that's the chance you take. That's that's the opportunity that, even for a Duke, they had a great season. They look at Cooper Flagg, and a New Balance guy that wore Nike all year, but it is what it is. Coop said, I want to be a New Balance guy, and I'll wear my Nikes when I wear my Duke uniform. It is what it is. So It's just the world we live in. And again, even from now going back to the pro side, when we talk about the next level on scouting departments and where the future of the league is, what's the future? Is it just Cooper Flagg for right now? Like, is the league banking on Cooper Flagg really truly being that? Because LeBron, if we've had this conversation, we thought they should have found the face of the league years ago. But
I mean, Cooper, I think I've watched Cooper now 3 years, from his 2 years in Montverde, from Duke. Cooper's going to be great.
Right.
I'm very, very excited about Darren Peterson next year.
Okay.
About the Boozers.
Yep. Again,
and I mean, and AJ. I mean, AJ is a good player.
Yeah.
I think the league is going to be in very good hands. It's funny, though, from a scouting perspective, of course, a lot of people in basketball operations departments are seeing the opportunity in college too. To take some of those general manager roles, to take some of those opportunities to expand essentially a scouting department and a basketball ops department at the college level now, because there's only so many seats at the NBA level that you can take. Right? If you're not a GM and you want to work your way up, how is that going to look? Where are you going to showcase yourself and your talents and your evaluation skills? Hey, maybe you take a college job in the meantime if it's comparable, where you can show, hey, I can put a team together.
I know how to manage a cap.
The assistant GM from the Kings, Wes Wilcox, took the University of Utah job.
Right.
And I mean, that's another. Wes there, Alex Klein at Syracuse. These guys.
Klein was. I mean,
he was a Knicks scout.
He was a Knicks scout for years. So again, but even on the football side, Jim Nagy.
Yep.
He was the Senior Bowl guru. If you knew Jim and you could even get in contact with the man because he's as busy as anyone I've ever met. If you could get Jim on the phone, you had a good chance of at least your client getting a fair look. And now he's the GM of Oklahoma. I guarantee that man knows
how. A lot of these teams are going to be expanding. There's an opportunity for the players, obviously, to figure their next location out at the college level. But there's going to be a lot of opportunity for folks that want to get in if they find the right spot. Because there's going to be a lot of growth. There has to be. There just has to be growth because you're going to have to evaluate these guys on the fly and continuously while your coaches are coaching and doing practice and doing video and everything else. You have to grow a scouting department and an ops team.
And it all actually, and we had talked about this earlier, that GM position at the college rankings is going to be your, I mean, I don't want to say your do or die type position, but
it is.
In the long term, if you, career wise, don't put something together, you basically tank your career because you couldn't do it at a lower level, quote unquote, with a smaller cap, everything like that. But then two, you put an entirety of a program that, let's just say a UM, if their GM, what we say, $4 million base salary for Carson Beck, that doesn't pan out. It's going to be hard pressed for the next quarterback to want to come in and be like, oh, look, you guys offered me this much. Carson Beck didn't pan out. He didn't get into the pros. I'm going to need a little bit more.
Yep.
And again,
give me 4.5. Give me 6.
We keep coming back to what's the next steps of that, that marker, even for AJ. AJ carries them to a Final Four at BYU.
That GM role becomes so much more important because you're liaising with your donors, with your base, with your student athletes, with anybody you're making deals with.
Any influence school versus trying to fight off, like we just talked about, trying to fight off the New Balances. Like, no, you can't have them. We're trying to keep, who else just did that? Somebody else just did that too. Oh my God. It was same thing. Jeremiah Smith. Nike. Now I'm 3 stripes for life. The number one, if he would have been draft eligible, he would have been the number 1 pick this year. That's how crazy of a loss to Nike that truly is. The bag was set for those types of kids. So again, on the NIL, on the GM perspective, you're going to have to be able to go to those team sponsors or team, guys and say, hey, look, we're bringing in such and such. You better get your bag ready. If we lose him to this, it's going to screw us too.
Or on the other side of that, why don't GMs and scouting departments start actually moneyballing kids?
They have to. If they're smart, they're going to
really getting into analytics and taking a different route instead of just throwing money at them.
So that's where the good GMs and bad GMs come into play.
Right.
How many good out of all the D1 schools, how many GMs actually have that type of analytical.
Not yet.
Well,
Probably not yet.
well, that's what I'm saying. So,
How many of those schools have a GM role? Even
well,
some of the blue bloods decided not to.
well, yeah, only certain perspectives of a GM role
Yeah.
do they have. They're not considered a GM of the program, but they have a specific role, whether it's the C.A.P, whether it's coming or not, depending on how that turns out. So the C.A.P, they'll manage that. But then some don't have anything to do with the scouting side.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it just kind of depends on what your school is saying your role is with that analytics, scouting, C.A.P role. Who's controlling what? How much of a say do you have? And because some coaching departments have their say on what they offer the kid for, NIL, stuff like that. So really just kind of depends on what your description of your job description truly is with that school. So, I mean, if you are a blue blood and you do have the GM role, you should be you should be rocking and rolling. You should, like a Jim Nagy who's been in that role, done that before, going into Oklahoma, plenty of money, not worried about scouting or anything like that because he's done it. He probably has a team that is now, been tracking some of these kids. Going to be smooth sailing because he's got that experience. Now, on the other hand, to say where some of the other teams are that maybe have split the GM role around, that could be a little bit of a sticky situation.
It's going to get dicey. It's all about cohesion and messaging.
And who picked the right guy? Well, you said such and such was good, and now he's leaving us. Like, it's gonna be a tough one. I think at this point, I believe at this point in the game, if you don't have at minimum an assistant GM or somebody to at least work with the athletic director, for God's sakes, in each major sport.
Now, what's going to happen when team underperforms? The coaching staff might be let go. Does the AD keep the GM?
No, you get rid of him.
Or is it full clean house?
Well, see, and I think, and here's another thing too, and I've kind of figured this out through my talkings with coaching departments. A lot of these coaching departments, the GM or whoever the coach's right hand is, that is who has taken that role.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that out through multiple schools. Like, the GM has basically been hired or ratified by the assistant or the head coach, and that's been majority for Group of 5 schools, some major, some Power 5 schools, and just so like trust between the head coach and the GM. It's a little bit more, I guess you say, convenient more so than anything.
Yeah, so you get rid of both of them.
Yeah, so exactly. So at the end of the day, you put your name on him to get the job done. You both didn't get it done. You're both out the window. So, and that's basically my mindset with regards to a coach having a trust with whoever they're bringing in as GM. I'm sure, depending on which coach it is, will have a lot of say in who that hire is, which is even still at this point for most GMs. You're either coming down from the pro rankings as an assistant coach or an assistant general manager, whatever it may be at the G League, UFL. Like, I know the UFL GM for Birmingham Stallions, he's now Sac State's football GM. They got money.
Right.
I know they got denied from Pac-12, but still, you're going to go into the Big Sky. You better win.
If they win, then they have a better chance.
Okay, but again, that's
moving up again.
But even so, even better chance. You better keep your job. Like, if you lose, if you go into the Big Sky, which with the quarterback that they got, the pieces that they put in, they got Shaq as their GM on basketball, Mike Bibby's their basketball. You better win.
They got Mikey.
That's what I'm saying. Like things like that. If they've got guys,
they're going to get the eyes. That's for sure.
Hello. So if you're saying if that's the case, if this is what we're going with, if this is the road we want to ride and drive on, so be it. You better bring it.
But either, like, the other half of what you said would be either, you bring them in or you hire from within.
Right.
Usually would be a coach's choice.
Yeah. At least a big opinion on it. Yeah.
Right. Either way you look at it, it's still, everything is such a gamble in college
That's
sports. Like you
in
said,
general, baby.
it just gets well. I mean, sports in general, yeah, but I think that there's a little more structure in other areas.
Well, of course. I mean,
but I don't know. College is just so crazy to navigate now, and I don't know if that. Obviously, it does. But how do you think, like from a personal standpoint, like how much has your job really changed in the past like 4 or 5 years in terms of just being a scout and what like criteria you're really trying to look for or hit on?
I mean, from a criteria standpoint, that hasn't changed too much, but access to certain players, certain people around those players definitely has changed. Obviously, more so in this state because, high school athletes can get NIL. So if you want to speak to a kid directly, maybe you have to go through a runner or an agent or somebody now, whereas 4 or 5 years ago, if you're at a game and the game's over and the kid comes out of the locker room, changed, ready to go, before he goes to see his parent, hey, man, can I get a quick, a few questions? Let me ask you something. Just gathering intel on that perspective, or maybe you reach out to the school and get a perspective on how they are academically from their teachers. Those types of things, obviously, we're still looking for, but it's the access points have changed. So there's a few more roadblocks, a few more speed bumps. I mean, not that it's made that much more difficult. You still find ways to get the information that we need in the intel gathering portion of it, but the access really is the main change over the last few years that I've seen.
Right.
So, I mean, that's going to go, I think, as we continue down this path, it's going to continue to grow and expand because a lot of people are...
soon enough, high school is going to start having GMs at this point.
Yeah.
Your athletic director is going to be too busy trying to,
corral everyone.
Yeah, I mean, again, and especially so a state like a Georgia that is like very proactive with what they do. I mean, Florida's pretty proactive too, but Georgia even set the standard with the high school rankings of, look, we've got talent on talent on talent. These kids can make money, let them make money. That was Georgia's, pitch towards why letting it approve. And if that is the case, where we are saying like a state like a Florida that is producing NFL talent on the yearly basis, I mean, we trace back the last 20 years, how many first rounders have come out of this state, So it's like you understand what you're producing and things like that. But again, the trickle down effect, and everyone's a copycat league anyway. So it's like we keep, everyone keeps doing the same as everyone else, just in a different manner or a different time slot. So, how we go and progress now, saying like, access points, because the criteria is going to be the same. Whether you're pro or not, your standards are probably going to always, you might need to increase your standards. Like a 6'2" point guard now is on the shorter end in the NBA. Yeah. It's like Denver is an average size point guard at 6'3". So it's like when I stood next to Cade Cunningham at 6'6" or 6'7", whatever he is now, you understand why an NBA point guard.
That's a point guard now. Yeah.
That's an NBA point guard now. So, looking at the criteria may slightly change in the sense of inches or, it's like a 4'4" is going to always
ability.
Player profiles.
Your 4'4s are going to be 4'4s. Like now, to say that you don't want somebody to run a 4'3", well, yeah, of course, that's 10 to the second faster. But again, your averages, your abilities to build, I think, like you said, the criteria will stay the same. Being able to evaluate will relatively be the same. Now, how much access, on behind the scenes stuff, family, what the kids like in the classroom, kind of things like that. You said, you go through a social media page, you can find out a lot about a kid. It is kind of one of the things where you just hope. Oh man,
the gas station pictures of the
every time. Oh man, I can't tell you how many kids I've told, like, just clear your page. Just
log out for me. Just start over.
Just leave your story. You can leave your highlights, but God bless, just clear your page, man. Like, I mean, and I know some coaches just don't care. Like, some coaches literally just like, it is what it is. Like, some coaches just are legitimately like over, like, so, not to say blind, but they're so just like, I don't even care. If the kid can play ball, let's play ball. I'll deal with it on the back end. And that is, saturation for it because everyone does it or everyone has done it that they were looking at. So it's like, why is this kid any different, But again, kind of just our generational thing. It's not even like a player. It's like, that's just like the generation of kids now. Period. So really, it's kind of just static. It is what it is. I saw him post it, and okay, whatever. He still runs a 4.4. He still had a 1,000-yard season in high school. It is what it is. So
that's some of the risk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some of the risk you're undertaking.
He's averaging 22 and 10 rebounds a game. He is also 6'7".
We're in the state of Florida, right?
Yep.
There have been how many documentaries about that Gator squad in the early 2000s?
Aaron Hernandez.
They great on the field.
Crew.
Hey, but
led by a Christian ass man.
There were a lot of things in the locker room behind the scenes, like
you just don't know.
If you can keep that corralled and on game day you show up and you win.
Winning changes everything.
A lot of things get dusted under the rug.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. I mean, we've spoken about this before too, where it's like when you're winning, like everything's like
a lot easier.
But the moment you start losing, it's like
as soon as money starts getting lost, that's the real. That's now it's going to be not.
Because now the big guys upstairs are upset.
Now it's not just losing. Now it's going to be when money starts getting lost, or the ROIs start to go down. Because as soon as you start doing that,
you lose your donors and your partners.
You're gonna your partners. You're gonna start losing that next generation of kids because they saw that you brought in such and such, and he didn't plan out. And now he transferred. Now he's getting paid here. So why do I want to come here for less? It's a slippery slope that we've developed as a sports nation. I mean, we have all come to the conclusion that sports runs the world at this point, and I mean. Even when a Donald Trump is saying, "Look, change the name back to the Redskins," or "I'm not giving you a deal," like that just proves the point that sports runs the world. Like this, I mean, things like that where we are talking. And look at us from the NFL standpoint, going overseas now, playing in Spain, in Germany, in Brazil.
Those leagues have gotten a lot bigger.
Australia. Again, the point of it all at the end of the day is. It is a world-renowned language. Whether or not you speak the native tongue, everyone can sit there and watch it.
Right.
So again, kind of one of the things. This is where the world is. This is what we're doing. How we handle it now. It's kind of on us. It's the next generation of GMs and by God, I mean, just roster moves and transfer portal. I mean, that just in general. Is going to have to settle itself.
Mm-hmm.
We as even just from a fan's basis, how many fans are already over it? How many fans just don't even want to hear the word transfer portal ever again? It's kind of one of those things where it's like
they can't even get familiar, like the casual fan. Get familiar with the roster.
Steve Nash, when he left Phoenix for the Lakers, loyalty is done in sports.
Right, and even after that, when you look at it from a who else is like I feel like I just was talking to somebody about this too about loyalty and staying with the same team forever. Chris Paul going back to the Clippers, stuff like that. I guess guys, at the heart of it, they do appreciate where they've been and where they've gone and what they've been
to an extent.
To an extent, agreed.
Depends who you are.
And
people really think the Clippers are going to be good this year, though.
I do.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Father Time might beat them up real quick.
I think that's probably my biggest. Is Father Time on their side, or is it going to run out real quick during the season? Because even watching in summer league, I was working out with Kawhi. I did not realize how big he was. I'm talking muscular big. But I look at him how are you so injury prone? You're in shape. I see you're stretching. And I'm like, you've gotten hurt. Ever since you left the Spurs, have not really truly had a full healthy season except for maybe one, and that's the Raptors.
I told you, Zaza Pachulia.
Yeah, you're right.
Ruined his career.
Literally.
The foot of death.
The foot of death. That's literally. So it's like.
But the Raptors year.
But but again, guys like that, when you see them in person, and of course he looks big on TV, but you see him and you're just you're at your physical peak of the ability to recover, the ability to stretch and have people.
Did you see his hands?
Huh?
See his hands?
I mean, he is legitimately. I didn't get to shake him. I didn't get to shake his hand because he was stretching. But when I was wearing my New Balance shirt, and he said, "Nice shirt," he stood up after, and he had his claw shirt on, not New Balance.
Right, with the hand. Yeah,
it was a scratch, and I'm like, "Oh, that's hilarious!" That's
that's
one
awesome.
of those. But again,
I don't know. He shakes my hand. He's probably covering.
Covering my whole hand. But again, his entire team that he was with including the Clippers people, were all wearing New Balance shoes. Again, and that's kind of one of the things I just laugh like from that perspective, where you're like your entire team is with you on it. So again,
kind of wrapping up here with Evan and I usually do this. Just because you were talking about generations to come, just give the people watching like some words of advice or some pieces that you've taken from your career.
I'd say two parts. One, career wise.
Yep.
And then from a scout perspective to the generation of kids coming up. So your career advice to the next group of scouts, but then also your career advice towards the next group of players as they're getting scouted through these. I mean, again, we've talked about it. The scouting reports and the what we're looking for might not have changed, but like when those kids, like the Boozers, we got lucky to watch 4 years of greatness out of them.
Oh yeah.
But they were not the easiest people to talk to after game, and I know because I talked to Carlos on a flight from San Diego to Florida, and him and I were just joking about when they need a new agent to let me know, and he was like, "Don't worry, we're good on that." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just messing." But yeah, go ahead, hit him.
Yeah. So to the next generation, definitely you want to make sure first off you're building your network regardless.
Yeah.
From as early as you can, if you want to be in sports, that is going to be the key. You're building that network no matter what sport it is, no matter what avenue you want to take, because as many people that you are going to know have to know you and vouch for you. That's the most important thing for sure. And it's funny just going back to how Matt and I connected when I was finishing up at UCF. Matt's uncle was the first person that responded to me when I was doing mail outs. I don't know if people know out there what that is.
Is that like your resume?
Physical mail.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did resume. I did my own mock draft, printed it out, strengths and weaknesses, player breakdowns of the lottery that year, and physically mailed out manila envelopes to every NBA team front office. If I knew somebody, I addressed it directly to them. And at the time, it was the D League.
Yeah.
So as many D League addresses I could find as well. Matt's uncle was the GM of the Raptors, responded back to me. And then, through the grapevine, obviously got in touch with Matt over the years. We ran into each other a few years ago at City of Palms and just been trying to figure out how we're going to collaborate. And it just worked out again this year. But that networking opportunity really opened the door for being here now, essentially. So you never know when that door is going to open. So always be prepared. But that network is key. And to the players out there, we're always watching. So whether you think the arena, the stadium is empty, there's always eyes somewhere. There's always somebody there early. The man in the arena, the man in the stadium.
Oh, yeah.
They are there. They are checking out whether you're locked in pregame, what you're doing pregame, what you're doing postgame, who you're hanging out with. So those types of things for sure. Make sure that you are in control of that situation as best as you can be, because nowadays, especially, and it's only going to continue to grow, that is going to dictate your value to a team, whether it's at the high school ranks, at the college ranks, and at the professional ranks. Those things and that circle around you is going to play in big.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even hitting on the networking part. I mean, the rule in sports is your network is your net worth. And if you're literally thinking that just because you emailed somebody that they're going to recognize you if you meet them in person, or say whether or not you mailed them, whatever it may be, that they're just gonna, oh yeah, I remember such and such because such and such. No, you emphasize why they should remember you. I mailed you this. I'm actually here in person now, like remembering everything and giving them a reason to remember. I wrote the scouting report on whoever it may, things like that. And again, just making sure you put yourself out there in the physical stance as well, because and we talked about this last episode about being in summer league, being out there, shaking hands, being with GMs, being with players, being with guys just on an elevator ride. Boogie Ellis, he's asking, where I got my Lolo's chicken and waffles from, and I'm like, yeah, it was amazing.
You went?
That went.
Fuck.
But see, I ordered to go though. It was
Nah.
I know. It was an hour 45 wait. I was like, and Boogie, and I told Boogie, I'm like, Boogie, if you're gonna order it, you know, when you know you want to eat. So don't order it now if you're not gonna eat. If you're hungry now, like, or eat now and then order it either tomorrow. Because he was funny, but again, interactions like that, it took him a second, but he realized who I was and who I represented. So again, now does he, remember me 3 weeks later or a week and a half later? I don't know. I mean, I guess if he follows me on IG, we'll find out. But again, just the ability to put yourself out there and have those conversations and kind of, build your network in any way possible, in any act, whether it's an internship, whether it's emails, newsletters, creating your own, whatever it may be. That's the real focus on and building that network, because you got to be able to differentiate yourself,
right?
Not through just who you are as a person, but the work that you provide.
Yeah, it's the simplest things too. Yeah. It's how you provide value.
Yeah, that to a business in general, not even just sports and business in general. Anybody in business, what do you provide that brings either money to the table or value to the company? And both usually end up being cohesive to each other.
Yeah,
if you're bringing value, you're usually bringing money. Usually bringing money, usually bringing value. So those both kind of coincide with each other. But appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thank you guys.
Again, it was one of those,
Of course, man.
Finally we got in time to get stuff down and on paper, and timing for everybody was, actually worked out. So, again, we appreciate you guys listening. Subscribe below. Your boy Will, your boy Evan, and our special guest Max. We are out for today, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.